Okay, so here we go. You have identified your problems and your target groups. That was your task, just to find what is the weak point, what is the weak side in your communities and in your YMCAs, in your neighborhoods, and so on, and who is actually the group in need, who is the group you're going to work with. And next step, we will try to make clear what are goals and objectives of the projects that you're going to deliver. But before, okay, just a moment. Yes, I was looking for some nice quote to motivate and encourage you. And I've looked through hundreds or thousands, I don't know. And this is the one that actually made me motivated. And it says, when the why is clear, the how is easy. And this is what Olga was sharing just a few minutes ago, that the why is a much more important question than the how. And when we have a clear understanding of the mission of our organization, of the problem we're going to work with, of the target group which is in need, then the how is really an easy question. It's the activity that we're going to deliver, the resources that we need, the steps that we're going to make, and so on. So today we will focus on the why question. And when we're talking about project applications, many many different words appear. We can hear people telling us that we should put up the aim of the project and we should set the targets. And it's all based on our mission and vision. And then we were telling you that today we will work with goal and objectives. But sometimes such words as activities and steps appear. And it's very easy to get lost in all these words and terms. And sometimes we think, okay, what is bigger? What is a more global thing? A target or an aim? An objective or a goal? Steps or activities? But we should remind you that these are all just words, and different people and different foundations and different organizations, they use their own vocabulary. They use their own words. It's just very important for us to understand what these words mean. And among all these, people are usually choosing like 2 or 3 words that actually describe their process of project management. And the main idea is that there are usually 3 levels. One is the level of the goal, this overall thing that actually gives us a push that we need to do something. It can be called in different words. Sometimes people call it aim or somehow else, or they can call it overall objective. This is also words that we meet sometimes, but we must understand that the goal, or whatever people call it, is something global, like the global motivational factor that actually makes us move forward. Objectives are smaller parts of this goal, and we will talk more about it. And they can be called aims or targets or whatever, but it's next, like a smaller, a little bit lower level of the things that actually break the goal into some smaller parts. This is some smaller steps we need to achieve to fulfill our goal, to reach our goal. And then activities are actually things that we do. This is not something global, something changing the world around. This is actually the things that we do with our hands and feet, with our heads, our brains. This is what we do: run the training, I don't know, or arrange a meeting, and so on, build something. This is the activity. And it also can be called in different ways. Sometimes people call it steps or whatever, but we should understand that this is next level. So this is the general idea that whatever words we use, we are talking about 3 levels of planning a project: goal, objectives, activities, or aim, targets, and steps. So this is an important thing. So please don't be confused when you see some other words than the ones that we give you. The words can be whatever, but the general idea is the same. So let's talk about, okay, animation doesn't work, but never mind. Let's talk about the goal The goal is actually the other side of the problem. If we take the problem, the goal is something that we want to achieve if we manage to solve it, or at least some part of the goal of the problem. So the bad news is that in most cases, the goal cannot be fully reached. This is something that we, frankly speaking, will never achieve. We will never beat the poverty in the world. We will never set a perfect climate. We will never make everyone happy. But the good news is that it's still worth trying, and we still are going to do something to move forward this goal, to try to reach it, to get just maybe a little bit closer to it. And so now let's have a look at some examples. Yes, I'm sorry, the animation somehow doesn't work when we are doing it through Zoom, but it's not a big problem. So if we say that the problem is poverty in some particular area, in the city, in the community, wherever, just a moment. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see. Okay. So if we say that the problem is poverty, then the goal will be to reduce the poverty. I hope this is quite clear. Like, this is the general problem. What we want to do it. We want to make it smaller. We want to reduce it. If the problem is, for example, low social responsibility of young people in some community, in some place, then the goal would be to raise social responsibility of young people in this place. It seems to be very simple, but it's not always that simple. So let's try to practice a little bit. And I have, but before we come to practice, we wanted to share with you some words that will help you in putting your goals in words. And they may sound as bureaucratic words, like the words that people like to use as mottos and slogans, I don't know, in commercials, in their political fights, but still these are the words that show some positive change that we want to achieve. This is something that may enrich your vocabulary if you are working with goals. And these are the words: develop, raise, enhance, improve, contribute to, enlarge, create, empower, strengthen, equip with, stimulate, boost, reform, encourage, promote, increase, and establish. And are all these words clear? Does everybody understand them all? I can't see the chat right now, so if there's something in the chat, please help me to distinguish it. Is everything?
No, there is nothing.
Okay, so then may I ask any of you to explain the word empower? What does it mean? Can any of you tell what it is?
Well, it's like giving power to someone by supporting them. I mean, power not like the strength and muscles, but to strengthen them by supporting them. I get it like this.
Mariam, thank you very much. And can anybody help me with the word encourage? Great word, I like it very much. Can anybody help us with explaining the meaning?
To make somebody more brave to do something, not to be afraid, to be more confident, to be sure that it's possible.
Encourage, motivate. Thank you very much. I hope most of these words are clear to you, and please use them when you are expressing or putting in words goals of your projects. They will certainly help you. Okay, so let's practice. Now it works. So here is the problem: poor socialization and integration of migrant teenagers of 12, 16 years of age in schools. And of course, if it was a real situation, we would also put a place here. In schools where, in which city, in which area, in which neighborhood. But let's take it as general as it is. So poor socialization and integration of migrant teenagers in schools. How would you put a goal of this project in words? So please you may speak or type your answers in the chat.
To encourage the integration of migrant teenagers in schools, or to, yeah, promote.
Usually, I think when we usually encourage somebody, like it's a personal thing. So maybe we could use some other word. Anything in the chat? Any other ideas?
Can increase integration of teenagers. We can enhance a relationship between teenagers in the classes in the area.
Anything else?
Yeah, we have a message from Gabriel in the chat. Increase the level of engagement between migrant and local communities.
Thank you. Okay, let's practice a little bit more. Oh, yes. Here's one more problem. High level of depression and other mental health problems among university students. And once again, if it was a real situation, we would put which university and which city and which country and so on. But let's take it as general as it is. So high level of depression and mental health problems among university students. What would be the goal of this project? What could be the goal of the project?
To empower university students during their depression and other mental problems.
Okay. Any other ideas?
Promote their social adaptation.
Promote to whom?
Of those who are under the depression.
You see, this is a more tricky case because we can look at this problem from different sides, depending on which part of the problem we actually want to address.
Can I increase awareness, first of all? And secondly, I think we can encourage universities to create like special programs for those kind of students. Like,
yeah, depending on what actually we want to focus on. Increase awareness, yes, very good. Anything else?
It could be also increase funding and also access to like mental health, I don't know, not clinics, but programs and therapy and things like that. Increasing access and also funding, because that's usually a big problem.
Yeah, so we are actually here, we are addressing not that we cannot decrease like the level of depression, but we can make it easier for people with depression to get some needed resources.
Yeah, Gabriel writes in the chat, develop a holistic program of non-formal education, including counseling, recreational activities, etc. And Daria writes, improve self-esteem of students.
But I would say that these two brilliant ideas, they sound more like objectives or even activities. We will come later a little bit to it. But yeah, thank you. Anything else? Because create, how was it? Can you say it again, the first one?
Develop a holistic program of non-formal education.
Developing a program is actually one of the activities that we can do. If we address the goal, we can do a lot of things, and one of them could be developing a program that people could participate in. Okay, let's move to the next one. And the problem is high pollution of the coastline in some particular resorts areas of some exact country and place. Pollution of the coastline. What could be the goal of the project?
To decrease the level of pollution of the coastline in resort areas.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how are we going to do that? Are we going to raise awareness of people about the effects of the pollution, or we are going to create some team of volunteers who will deal with this rubbish, or we are going to print some posters that will tell people about how it's bad to pollute the coastline, or whatever it could be. This would be the activities that we do, but certainly the goal would be to decrease the level of pollution. Okay, thank you very much. And let's move forward to the next step, next level. And here we are coming to the objectives. And the goal of the project is usually something overall, and usually there's one goal of the project. Sometimes there may be two goals, but in most cases we have just one overall goal of the project. But when we come to the objectives, objectives can be multiple. We can have, and usually we do have, more than one objective. And objectives are like, as Olga likes to say, they're like pizza. So if we put all objectives together, we will take a goal. So these are not just the steps, these are kind of parts of the goal. So we break one big goal into few objectives, and when we fulfill all the objectives one by one or simultaneously, we actually come to closer to fulfilling our goal. And let's once again look at some examples. And okay, before we come to the examples, I'm sure that most of you have heard about SMART objectives. Have those who have heard about it, this word, SMART objectives, please wave your hands. Have you heard about that? Yes, many of you certainly have. And this is a discussable way of putting things. Some people like to use it, some people don't like to use it, but I think it's just an important part of education, just to know that sometimes we look at the objectives through these glasses of SMART objectives. So let's do it together. SMART is an abbreviature, so these are first letters of 5 words, and sometimes these words are slightly different, but in most cases they have general meaning. And S goes for specific. So when we're putting up an objective, we should be absolutely clear who it applies to and where we're going to do it. And this is something very specific. When M stands for measurable, it means that we must have some tools to actually understand whether our objective has been fulfilled. Did it work or not? How are we going to check it? How we will make sure that we are on the right way? And it means that the objective should be measurable. It should be achievable, and it means that it should be realistic. We need to be sure that we have actually all necessary means, all the resources to do this, to fulfill this objective. Are we capable of doing that? Can we do this? Do we have all the resources to achieve the objective? It should be relevant. What does it mean? Relevant, it means that this is what we really need, that this is part of our pizza, actually. This is not some part of some other pizza. This is part of our pizza, and this is what we really need to reach our goal. And the other thing is whether it fits the priorities of the organization. Is this, for example, it may lead to our goal, but it may not fit the mission and the values of our organization. I will put it very simple. Like, we can reach our goal, it's very easy, but we need to kill this person to do this. Does it fit the values of our organization? Certainly not. We will not do that. This is a very straight and I would say rude example, but that's how this relevance works. Like, is this really something we need to do and we may do? And time bound, this is quite clear, is like when we're going to do this and when it's all going to finish. Like, what are the time limits of implementing this? Yeah,
we have the hand raised by Drenusha and a message in the chat.
Yeah, can you read the message?
Yes, so the message is from Nikas. Mostly the measurable part is controversial. And Ellen answers, yes, measurable tends to leave out complex developments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we will speak a little bit about it.
We will certainly speak more about it. And of course, this whole theme is controversial, but we thought it's important for you at least to know that it exists and to know a little bit more about how it works. And
Drinusha, do you want to speak?
Drinusha? Okay, maybe later when you want to speak, just let us know.
Yeah,
and I just wanted to say that this doesn't mean that this concept doesn't mean that all these parts should be present in your objective, that putting down your objective, putting it in words, you should always say, like, teenagers of this age who will do this and that by that time, and this is within our resources and fits the value of our organization. We do not always put this in words, certainly, but we should keep this in mind. We should know that anyone may ask us these questions. When we've put up the objective, anyone may ask us, like, is it relevant? Are you sure this is achievable? Who are you going to do it with? We should know the answers. We shouldn't put it all in words, but we should certainly know the answers to all these questions. How are we going to say that we're on the right way? Okay, let's move forward. And no, yes. So example would be very, very, very simple. Just the most simple example you can imagine. And let's put lack of youth leaders in the YMCA as a problem we're going to work with. Who of you has ever faced this problem in your YMCAs? Just wave your hands. Anybody has ever met this problem? Yes, of course, we all deal with it from time to time. Lack of youth leaders. So what would be the target group? This would be young volunteers of some age, depending on the profile of your YMCA, that want to become YMCA leaders. What would be the goal? The goal would be to develop youth leadership in the YMCA. This is quite a clear goal, the other side of the problem. We are lacking youth leaders, so we need to develop youth leadership. We need to get more leaders, more qualified leaders. What would be the objectives? The objectives would be multiple. So give young people knowledge about YMCA, its history, mission, and values, because they may not become devoted leaders without having this knowledge. Equip them with necessary tools, so we will train them so that they can do social and youth work. And we will motivate them, empower them to be good YMCA leaders. And then we will provide them support in their activities. So we will not just let them go, we will somehow train them and then help them to do their job well. Is this clear, or do you have any questions to this? So I'm putting this very simple example for you just to understand how it works, just to make all the concept very clear. Sometimes it's much more complicated, but I hope that this very simple example will help you understand it better. So one thing that Olga has been touching already in our today's session, and we want to stress it once again, that objectives and activities are different things. They're not the same. And it's important to understand that activities, these are the means to accomplish the objectives. And if we have our objectives as small parts of our huge goal, then activities, they are the steps that actually lead to this objective. And these steps may be very different. We can come to this chest, as on this picture, from one side and from the other side, and we can take, I don't know, a wooden ladder, or we can build brick stairs, and these still would be activities, and they may be very, very, very different, coming to the same objective. And coming to our previous example, this one, when we have the problem and the target group, the goal and the objectives, what do you think would be the activities of this project? What would we actually do? Please speak loud or use the chat. Speak up. So what could be the activities? How do you think?
Activities would be to raise your social platforms, like social networks activities. I mean, to just post more to raise give young people knowledge about YMCA's history and etc. So in this case, the activity would be to just be more active on social media.
And we have we have variants in the chat. Flash mob on Instagram. You need to find the relevant activities that fits the target group and your objective. Create an assembly of young people. We often have these objectives in summer camp. Watch Soul in the Machine, story of George Williams.
You can have a lecture about YMCA history.
A lecture or a seminar on YMCA history,
Instagram,
flash mob.
An open day for the local YMCA building. Invite young members and volunteers to meetings usually reserved for management, senior leaders, focus groups. Encourage the target group to participate to different activities, promoting them through social medias.
Great, thank you very much. Actually, we have our own variant for that. And I think all the activities that we were thinking of, they're all totally different from the ones that you offered, which is absolutely great. And it just supports the idea that actually same objectives can be reached by very, very different activities. So here's what we have. So if problem is lack of youth leaders, and here's the target group, and the goal is develop youth leadership, and here are our objectives. Activities could be run leadership training, say 3 sessions of leadership training, and arrange regular support meetings, for example, like a youth club once a month to support and empower and motivate these volunteers, and monitor and evaluate results of their work. And of course, everything that you have suggested, this also could continue the list of the activities. It will all fit the objectives. Okay. Let's practice again. So if the goal of our project, which is, as we remember, the other side of the problem, is to improve human rights education in schools, what objectives would you set up? You can speak or put down your variants in the chat. Is there anything in the chat?
No.
Not yet. Okay, it's not an easy task, but we really want you to practice.
Maybe to understand disadvantages of the system that is existing now.
Maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
It sounds like investigation. Yeah.
Investigate. That's I was just thinking of the wording: to study, to investigate the human rights history, and
Chat speaks. Promote anti-racism. Organizing classes about the topic since elementary school.
Okay, guys, I have a question. Organizing classes, is it an objective or an activity?
Activity.
Yes, of course. Organizing classes is certainly an activity, but what objective is it working for?
Starting talk with children since like young age about human rights.
Well, you actually, Ulia, we're using a great word, raising awareness. Yeah, this is raising awareness, absolutely. Talking to children, organizing classes. Yes, this all works as raising awareness, telling people that this exists and how, and the history of the problem and so on.
Yeah, the chat speaks, increase the awareness of the human rights among teachers, contact with the education ministry. Is it the last one? Does it sound like objective or activity or a step?
Activity. How can we turn it into an objective? Contact the Ministry of Education. But for example, establishing communication or partnership with Ministry of Education, I think this could be a good objective, and it may have different steps in achieving it, like making some interaction and I don't know, talking to them, having joint events, inviting them to our events. This would be steps in achieving this objective. Okay, let's move forward because we haven't got much time. Next goal, strengthen governance in the YMCA. This is our goal. It's always with us. So strengthening governance in the YMCA, what could be the objective for it?
Make the processes that happen in governance clear and obvious.
Raising awareness once again. Yes, raising like the level of understanding governance processes. Education.
Gabriel writes, increase democracy. For me, it sounds like a goal, frankly speaking.
Yeah, depending on the organization, I think very much. Yeah, but it's really a huge thing.
Increase the access to governance.
Yes, absolutely. And then we can think what steps we can do, what activities we can do to make it governance more accessible for young people, for example. Change the way of or establish nomination committee, change the ways of the elections and so on. So there can be different steps of making the governance accessible, but it's a perfect objective, certainly. Anything else?
Yes, encourage young people to be part of the governance. Make the management system more transparent. Perfect. Give the YMCA members the right skill set to be able to adapt good governance in their local way.
Great. Let's move forward. And there's one more case.
Sorry. And as example of activity, governance training.
Perfect. Okay, one more. Promote healthy lifestyle among seniors. Okay, one or two examples of the objectives.
Making gyms more like friendly, open, accessible.
Yeah, making all this healthy life infrastructure accessible for seniors.
Explain
we can do
health is valuable for a person.
So make some promotion of healthy lifestyle. Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Tina, yeah, one more. Informing people about the risks of an unhealthy life and talk about the importance of sports.
Well, to me, it also sounds like more like an activity, but okay. I think the general idea is clear. And guys, you know, it's hard work to put these all things in words, and it needs a lot of practice to be precise and to make it so that everyone understands what you really want to say. But I'm sure that each of you, if you practice much, you will certainly be perfect in that. And let's move forward and talking about the activities as the next step of working with our project. We should remember that activities, this is not just anything that we do within this idea, you know, of say developing leadership in the YMCA or working with seniors. The activities that we put in the project, they should be effective. So it means that they should reach maximum with minimum resources. They should be also cost effective. So they shouldn't be extremely costly in terms of what we get as an outcome. They should be relevant, adequate, attractive to the target groups. So if we're working, for example, with seniors, we should propose something that they would be eager to do. And same with youth, of course, and any other target group. They should be relevant to time, and they should be modern and attractive to people. They should be corresponding with the mission and values of the organization, and we've talked about that a little bit already. They should be realistic and manageable. They should be balanced in being unique and simple. It's always a huge benefit of our project if we are proposing something unique in terms of methodology. If we are not using someone else's, I don't know, manual or method, if we're offering something that we have invented ourselves, this is always a huge benefit for us. And they should be framed in a timetable. They should be time bounded, same as our SMART objectives. And they should be, which is most important thing, linked with responsible people. Because whatever we plan, if no one is responsible for that, it will never happen. So when you're planning your projects, it doesn't mean that you should be working alone. You may have a team of colleagues and friends and whoever, your YMCA colleagues, but it's very important that each activity that we plan, someone is taking responsibility for that. Otherwise, it will never happen. And we wanted to share with you the goal, objectives and activities for Leadership Academy as the final part of my presentation. And it may sound once again as a little bit bureaucratic, but still I think that it will give you more understanding of what we are doing here. So the goal of the whole training program, of the whole project of Leadership Academy, is promoting civic engagement of young people through enhancing their capacity as leaders for local community. And objectives are promoting social inclusion and peace as a core value of youth work, promoting youth participation, its values and forms, equipping young leaders with necessary knowledge and tools of change makers, promoting international cooperation of leaders of local communities. As you can see, nothing is said here about training sessions, Zoom meetings, writing projects, and so on. So these are smaller part of our bigger goal. And here we come to the activities, and they're also quite simple. It's preparatory session of the planning team, workshop 1, workshop 2, workshop 3, homework, and evaluation. As simple as that. So here my presentation is over. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions, please, the floor is yours.
Questions or feedback? Any highlights? Something you disagree with?
Something you are stressed with? Okay, and once again, we've been telling it quite a few times, but in any step of your work, if you feel you need to talk to someone, please do not hesitate to contact any of us.
Yeah, thank you, Tina, so much. And I'm giving the